Hello, my friend. Welcome to our channel, Sleep Hypnosis, the Sea. Tonight we set out on a long, 4-hour drift into quiet rest, a talk down that carries you from the hum of your busy thoughts into the hush of deep sleep. The night holds steady around you, the kind of stillness where even the walls seem to listen. You probably won't survive this, at least not consciously, because somewhere between the soft cadence of these words and the slow fade of your own awareness, your waking mind will dissolve. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd also love to know where you are listening from tonight and what time it is there. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The night greets you with its open palms. You sit in the hush, the air mild and cool, carrying a whisper of earth and the sky. The steady rhythm of your breath sets the pace, a tide pulling in, drifting out, each inhalation filling you like moonlight on water, each exhalation letting go of weight. The gentle descent begins, not with force, but with noticing. Your eyes, heavy from the day, soften at the edges. The muscles of your face, often clenched by thought, surrender to gravity. You may even notice a slight, sleepy smile, because the act of relaxing feels almost mischievous, as if you're sneaking away from responsibility into something far kinder. Your shoulders sink, as if they've been unhooked from a coat rack. Your chest rises and falls in steady rhythm, no need to control it. The belly eases, the hips loosen, the legs lengthen with their own quiet gratitude. You breathe in and let it go. Quietly, a thought flickers. Even the grandest empires had to rest. The Roman legions, for all their discipline, always pitched camp at night. Historians still argue whether their tents were arranged for perfect military order or if practicality sometimes led to messy clusters. But one thing was certain: they stopped, they slept, and they rose again. You too can allow yourself that pause. Imagine the hush of that ancient encampment. 1,000 fires, glowing like embers of a galaxy fallen to earth, smoke curling upward to meet the stars. Soldiers wrapped in cloaks, their helmets resting in the grass, the day's march forgotten in the lull of night. You feel safe here, as safe as they must have felt behind their wooden palisades. And then, a quirkier note. Did you know some medieval monks slept sitting up, believing it kept them closer to God? It sounds uncomfortable, and perhaps a touch impractical, but they swore it worked. You, fortunately, don't need to try such devotion. Your bed, your pillow, the way your body stretches now, is holy enough. Your breath steadies, your pulse eases. The silence around you feels like velvet laid over every noise. A car passing far away, creak in the walls. Even those soften into background music. You feel safe here. In the quiet, thoughts scatter like leaves. Some drift back, what you forgot to do, what tomorrow might bring. But tonight, none of that belongs to you. Tonight, you are simply here, lying still, falling softly into the dark embrace. You breathe in and let it go. The mind, of course, likes to wander. It tosses you trivia as if to stay awake. Like this: Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than to the building of the Great Pyramid. Strange, isn't it? Time folds in on itself, a ribbon curling at both ends. And yet here you are, stretched between past and future, neither mattering in this gentle now. A slow warmth travels from your toes upward. Each toe loosens, ungripping the day. The arches of your feet expand, ankles relaxing as if unbuckled. Calves, once taut, release like strings cut free. Knees soften, thighs sink, hips widen into the bed. You feel safe here. Higher still, your belly releases, your back rests as if cradled. The chest, relieved, lowers itself like a sigh. Shoulders, heavy but free, sink deeper. Arms, long and light, rest by your side. Palms open, fingers curved in trust. Neck slackens, jaw loosens, tongue floating weightless. Eyes close softly, the mind easing its grip. You breathe in and let it go. And history again drifts into view. The great library of Alexandria, historians still argue whether it was destroyed by Julius Caesar's fires, later decrees, or a series of smaller tragedies. What's clear is that its silence is all that remains. Imagine walking those colonnades after everyone has gone, papyrus scrolls breathing dust and time, the hush of vanished knowledge pressing like a lullaby. You are safe here, wrapped in silence older than memory. And as the minutes slip by, your awareness slips with them. You chuckle faintly at the thought that people once used crocodile dung as sunscreen in ancient Egypt. Why? Yes, truly. Imagine the smell. Imagine the look of it smeared on skin. Then let it fade, like every other odd fact of history, because what matters now is the softness, the drift, the night, carrying you under. The descent continues. Breath by breath, moment by moment, you drift downward. No hurry, no need to chase sleep. It is already catching you. You feel safe here, small. The hush grows thicker, as though the night itself has drawn a blanket over you. Your body, now heavier, sinks deeper into the mattress, and yet your mind floats, light as mist curling above a calm sea. Every breath is an anchor, steady and slow. Each inhale like the tide rolling in, each exhale slipping gently away. You breathe in and let it go. Soft, your awareness drifts lazily from one part of your body to another. Feet resting heavy, calves quiet, knees at peace. Thighs, hips, stomach, all of them surrendering the last traces of tension. Chest rising and falling without effort. Arms growing warmer, fingers slack. Even your scalp feels loose, as though it has softened under a gentle rain. A sleepy smile hovers on your lips, because surrender feels almost like play. You feel safe here. The mind, of course, cannot resist slipping you into little stories. One moment you're on your bed, the next you're floating through ancient plaques. Imagine lying on the deck of a wooden ship in the 15th century, the sails above you creaking softly in the night breeze. Sailors snore nearby. The ocean stretches endless, and the stars are your only map. Historians still argue whether sailors truly believed in sea monsters, or if it was only a clever excuse to avoid dangerous voyages, but the mystery lingers. What matters more is the hush of that endless horizon, rocking you the way waves rock a child. You breathe in and let it go. quirky tidbit arrives, quiet and strange. In the Middle Ages, some people believed owls carried the souls of the dead. Imagine that. Those wide golden eyes blinking slowly at night. A feathered courier drifting silently through the air. Whether or not anyone believed it fully, the thought feels oddly fitting now, as if every feather could carry away a thought you no longer need. And just like that, worries lift from your shoulders, wings spread, and vanish into the dark sky. You feel safe here. Your body continues to dissolve into the bed, heavy and liquid, while your mind lifts like vapor. Each word a soft step down, each pause a gate into deeper rest. Picture a quiet desert night, sand cooled by evening air, stars sprayed across the black. Somewhere nearby, a caravan has settled, camels folding into the earth like shadows, travelers wrapped in wool, fires glowing with patient embers. The world is wide, but for you it has narrowed into comfort, warmth, and silence. Even great rulers once slept under open skies. Alexander the Great, for all his empire building, wrapped himself in simple cloaks during campaigns. Historians still debate whether his drive came from ambition, destiny, or insecurity, but they all agree on one thing. He rested when night demanded it. If he could, so can you. You breathe in and let it go. Quietly, your breath syncs with the rhythm of oceans you cannot see. Imagine lying by a hidden cove, waves folding against you. He's shore. The hush of water meeting sand, the faint hiss like whispers meant only for you. The moonlight traces silver over the surface, painting each ripple with gentle shine. You feel safe here. A playful thought drifts through. People once believed tomatoes were poisonous, calling them love apples that could kill with a bite, and yet today they top your pizza, harmless and delicious. That's how fears often dissolve, loud in the moment, laughable later. Your worries, too, will fade into comedy, given enough distance. You breathe in and let it go. The weight of your eyelids deepens. The mind loses its sharpness, edges blurred as if smudged by soft cloth. Words slow, like lanterns dimming in a long corridor, one by one. Your body, heavy, rooted. Your awareness, light, floating. You feel safe here. History again offers you a gentle hand. In old Japan, samurai carried pillows made of wood or ceramic, believing softness would weaken them. You chuckle quietly at the thought of resting your head on a block tonight. Luckily, your pillow is cloud-like, forgiving. Your head sinks deeper, your jaw loose, your thoughts soft. The drift continues. Even the concept of time loosens its grip. Hours blur, minutes lose definition. What remains is this moment, breath moving, body melting, mind hovering. You breathe in and let it go. The silence swells. Your heartbeat slows, steady and calm, as if the world has conspired to match your rhythm. A hush falls over every thought, every sound. You feel safe here. The drift carries you further, as though a gentle current has taken hold of your mind. You no longer rest on the surface of thought. Instead, you float beneath it, in those quiet waters where imagination and memory blend. The body, so heavy now, is forgotten, while the mind drifts in places both familiar and strange. You breathe in and let it go. The stillness is like velvet against your skin, each sound muffled, each sensation tender. Even the faintest creak of the room has softened into background music. A sleepy warmth spreads through you, wrapping every muscle, every joint, every quiet corner of your being. You feel safe here. History whispers softly as you hover. Think of ancient libraries, not just Alexandria, but smaller sanctuaries of parchment and ink scattered across the world. One in Timbuktu, in Mali, safeguarded thousands of manuscripts on medicine, astronomy, poetry, law. Scholars still argue whether those type texts were better preserved by desert dryness or human devotion, but the fact remains. Knowledge slept there for centuries, waiting to be awakened. Tonight, like those scrolls, your mind rests in safekeeping, folded gently by time. You breathe in and let it go. The body sinks deeper while awareness wanders. Imagine yourself in a candlelit cloister, stone walls cool, torches flickering. Monks hum in low voices, each tone vibrating through the still night. Their chant becomes a lullaby, Latin syllables dissolving into rhythm rather than meaning. You lean against a column, eyes closed, safe in the hum of centuries. A quirky detail drifts into thought. In the Renaissance, some people believed touching a dead man's tooth could cure toothache. Strange comfort, oddly desperate, but you need no such remedy tonight. The only cure you seek is here already. Stillness, warmth, drifting sleep. You feel safe here. The mind releases another strand. You picture a soft meadow, dusk, fireflies glowing like notes of music suspended in the air. A gentle breeze cools your face. Grass bends like waves. The horizon melts into shadow. The scene asks nothing of you but to rest, to drift, to notice how the earth cradles you without question. You breathe in and let it go. A whisper of debate circles back. Historians still argue whether the Trojan War was myth or history. Was it fought for trade routes or truly for love? Maybe both, maybe neither. But tonight, such grand motives are irrelevant. What matters is that humans have always told themselves stories by firelight, long into the night, until sleep took over. You, too, are caught in that same ancient ritual. A sleepy smile drifts across your face. Your body is no longer just heavy, it is absent, surrendered. All that remains is the sound of your breath, the cadence of words, the hush of the night pressing gently around you. You feel safe here. The drift deepens. You imagine lying beneath. The dome of the Pantheon in Rome, light streaming from the great oculus. By day it was a symbol of power, by night perhaps a reminder of infinity. Imagine the hush after visitors leave, your footsteps alone echoing in that sacred chamber, dust floating in golden beams. You stretch out on the cool marble, and the sky itself seems to bend toward you, whispering rest. Another playful tidbit. Napoleon was once attacked by a horde of bunnies. Yes, rabbits. He had arranged a grand hunt, but the organizers had tamed the animals too well. Instead of fleeing, the bunnies swarmed him, seeing him as a bringer of food. Imagine the great conqueror swatting away soft paws. If even emperors can be humbled by rabbits, then surely your own worries are small enough to release. You breathe in and let it go. The stillness thickens. Your breath slows. Your pulse hums low. Your mind glides smoother than glass. Words themselves blur, not quite sentences anymore, more like waves washing sand. Everything is calm tonight. The edges of consciousness soften like paper dissolving in water. You do not need to hold on. The current carries you. You float without effort, lighter, looser, lost in a safe expanse. You feel safe here. And relaxation. The darkness holds you with the steadiness of tide and stone. Thoughts thin into threads, and even those threads loosen. The bed supports your weight, and the night supports your mind. You breathe in and let it go. Quietly, the world shifts into softer focus. Edges blur, and each sound wears velvet. The faint hum in the room is friendly now, a simple companion. You feel safe here. Somewhere in the distance of memory, a lecture hall flickers, steps echo. A professor adjusts glasses and whispers theories about old maps and older stars. You hover at the back row, wrapped in a blanket of dusk, amused that academia is basically bedtime stories with footnotes. The point is not who is right tonight. The point is how the debate lulls you, how every careful argument arrives like a wave and fades the same way. You breathe in and let it go. Picture a reading lamp at a great museum, green glass glowing like a slow emerald. You brush your fingers over card catalog drawers, labels typed in a ribbon font. The room smells like paper and linen thread. Historians still argue whether the past is a fixed record or a collage of memory. But your body answers with a yawn. The body always votes for sleep. You feel safe here. Consider a plain fact, familiar and steady. In the year 1969, human boots pressed into the dust of the moon. They planted a flag and took a long look back home. The fact stands like a calm lighthouse. If our species can do that and still need rest, then rest must be noble. There is something reassuring about even heroes closing their eyes at night. You breathe in and let it go. A softer tide enters now. Debates become distant shorelines. You hear them. You don't have to swim there. One voice says the library's lost scrolls might still sleep somewhere, hidden in jars, tucked in caves. Another insists fire took them all. Historians still argue whether loss is sudden or gradual, a blaze or a long forgetting. Either way, forgetting has its mercy. Tonight, you forget on purpose. You feel safe here. A quirky glimmer surfaces, light as a bubble. In Victorian times, people made jewelry from loved ones' hair. Little braids inside lockets, bracelets woven like rivers. Morbid to some, tender to others. You imagine putting a ribbon of your own worries in a locket and clicking it shut. It becomes an heirloom of things released. You smile at the thought, then let even that sink. You breathe in and let it go. The room grows warmer without changing temperature. This is the warmth of permission. You are allowed to be small. You are allowed to let time move without you. Somewhere, clocks tick like patient crickets. Somewhere, a streetlight hums. Tonight, you do not have to be on duty for any of it. Remember the monks you met earlier, chanting under stone? You return to them for a moment. Their voices are low tides across tiles worn by sea, centuries of feet. The chant doesn't ask you to understand. It only asks you to listen and soften. Historians still argue whether those chants kept perfect modes or bent into local rhythms. You hear none of the analysis, only lullaby. You feel safe here. A playful joke arrives and bows politely. History is a parade of big hats and bigger opinions. You picture scholars dueling with fountain pens at dawn, arguing about pottery shards. One insists the shard belonged to a cup. Another claims it was a bowl. You settle it wisely by deciding it was a very shallow bowl having a cup day. That's enough of that. The smile lingers, then fades. You breathe in and let it go. Now imagine an old observatory on a hill, a brass telescope resting like a sleeping animal. Dust motes drift in the lamplight, slow as falling snow. You place your eye to the cold ring and see the moon swollen with quiet, a face too serene to be lonely. There is nothing to solve in that gaze, only light, only distance, only the hush of an ancient companion. You feel safe here. Consider another clear fact, a gentle anchor. The Rosetta Stone was found in 1799 by soldiers remodeling a fort, and its carved scripts became a key to languages forgotten. Keys are like that. They look simple. Their meaning is long. This story does not need your attention. It gives you permission to rest instead. You breathe in and let it go. Picture yourself on a night train. The car rocks with a soothing rhythm. Lights blur outside like soft pencils smudging a city. In the next compartment, two historians murmur about whether an empire fell due to economics or weather, leadership or luck. Their argument is a lullaby with citations. You do not choose sides. You feel safe here. A stray fun tidbit taps your shoulder. In medieval cookbooks, there are recipes for fake meats made from fish, meant to trick the eyes on fasting days. Imagine a chef winking. Heil sculpting a fish to resemble a roast, a gentle prank wrapped in piety. Your worries too can be reshaped. They look like something heavy, but tonight they are made of steam. You breathe in and let it go. The breath becomes your narrator now. It tells the oldest story, and it has only two lines: in and out, tide and shore, lantern and night. You do not need another plot. If a thought arrives with a sword and a thesis, you give it tea and a blanket. You feel safe here. You recall Napoleon and the rabbits, and let that image hop across your mind again. Greatness swarmed by fluff. History is rich with moments that deflate the heroic pose. It's comforting. Even victory trips on soft paws sometimes. You tuck that smile beneath your pillow for later. You breathe in and let it go. Now your sense of self grows spacious. The room feels like a ship's cabin, the bed a berth, the fan a gentle engine. You float between worlds, shore and sea, memory and dream. A teacher in your mind points to a chalkboard full of timelines, then shrugs, wipes it clean, and draws a single slow wave. The lesson is simple. Drift. You feel safe here. A steady fact glows like a lighthouse again. The Silk Road ran for centuries, a braid of roots across deserts and mountains, carrying silk and spices and stories. Travelers traded goods and legends, and many of those legends were bedtime tales shared under tents. Historians still argue whether some myths arose from misread tracks or mirage, but everyone agrees the stars were the same stars you see tonight. You breathe in and let it go. You notice the shift. This is the part where language loosens. Words slow, thoughts tread water, then float on their backs. The body feels like dusk made visible. Sensations become gentle brush strokes. You are painted in hush and moonlight. You feel safe here. A small confession drifts through. You do not need to win the debate within your head. You can let both sides be right and go to bed early. The pillow casts the tie-breaking vote. That's democracy for the weary. You breathe in and let it go. Imagine a coastal lighthouse keeper a century ago. The lantern needs tending. The logbook needs careful script. Yet even the keeper sleeps in shifts, head on a folded coat, trusting the beam to sweep while dreams sweep him. Another plain fact: Fresnel lenses made those beams travel farther, slicing fog with rings of cut glass. This, somehow, soothes you. Precision exists. You are allowed not to carry it. You feel safe here. A light-hearted detail floats up like driftwood. Some early cartographers drew sea serpents in uncharted waters. Maybe they feared unknowns. Maybe they just liked good illustrations. Either way, your unknowns tonight are not serpents. They are quiet ponds with lily pads, each pad a place to rest a thought and then watch it drift away. You breathe in and let it go. The darkness deepens, and yet it is kinder than before. The mind stretches out like a cat on a windowsill. It blinks once, then tucks its head under its paw. If a noise visits, it arrives on tiptoe, it bows, and it leaves. You feel safe here. You return to the pantheon of voices, those patient scholars who argue whether a king's letter meant peace or stalling, whether a treaty line was inked at noon or at dusk, whether the cook added rosemary because it was medicine or because it tasted like pine and memory. Their care is lovely. Their timing is perfect. They do their work while you sleep. You breathe in and let it go. You slide a little deeper now. The floor of thought lowers. The ceiling of dream comes closer. In this distance, you hear a shorebird call once, then quiet. You hear the gentle clap of water against a wooden pier. 3 soft footfalls of a watchman changing shift. You are not the watchman, not tonight. A soft, true thing. Even the most complex machines need downtime. Servers reboot, clocks wind, instruments rest in velvet cases. You are an instrument too. You deserve the case and the quiet. You feel safe here. a tiny joke lifts a corner of your mouth. Somewhere, a researcher is arguing about a missing comma in a medieval letter. Was the king hungry, or did he eat already? You grant them the joy of the puzzle and grant yourself sleep. You breathe in and let it go. The sea returns as promised by our channel's name. You lie on a calm shore, and everything that used to feel sharp has been tumbled smooth. Pebbles, glass, driftwood, worries. Each wave polishes another edge, and the moon nods its approval. Historians still argue whether a maritime chart from centuries ago hinted at currents we only mapped recently. The sea, amused, keeps its own logbook. It writes tonight's entry in foam. You feel safe here. A whimsical tidbit visits and passes. In some alpine villages, people once rang bells to chase winter from the slopes, parading in carved masks with kind eyes and wide grins. It was half ritual, half festival, and mostly warmth. Your parade tonight is smaller, just breath and heartbeat, stepping together down the quiet street of your chest. You breathe in and let it go. You return to now, to the pillow, to the breath, to the hush that holds. Language loosens further, like laces undone with care. The story is finishing the work for you. The story knows the way. You feel safe here. You are safe now. The scholars dim their lamps. The archivist rolls the last scroll. The watchman closes the gate. The sea completes one more slow breath. Nothing chases you. Nothing asks for you. In this dark, you are allowed to be a small, bright ember of comfort. You breathe in and let it go. Down another step. You barely notice the stairs. The handrail is made of quiet. The carpet is made of night. You have one task left, and it is sweetest of all. You let go in small, soft pieces. A list dissolves. A worry GH and scatters. A sentence forgets its ending and smiles anyway. You feel safe here. A final daytime fact flickers, just to show goodwill. In 1922, archaeologists opened a small sealed chamber in Egypt and found simple objects arranged with care. A cup, a board game, a necklace of blue beads like tiny skies. The object said, life mattered here, in ordinary ways. Then the door closed again, in the mind, gently and kind. You breathe in and let it go. If any thought remains, it is a feather. It drifts, it lands. It becomes a pillow, then a cloud, then nothing at all. The voice continues, softer now, like tide turning under the moon. The night has you, the bed holds you, the sea hums your name like a promise. You feel safe here. Rest small. You hover at the seam where waking loosens its laces. The world is warm and dim, like a lantern placed behind soft fabric. The breath keeps time. The room accepts you. The sea, somewhere just beyond words, hums its low and faithful note. You breathe in and let it go. Soft. Quietly, the threshold opens. It doesn't swing with drama. It parts like a curtain of light rain. You step through without lifting a foot, and everything that used to cling, small tasks, old echoes, falls away with the gentlest shrug. The mind likes to check back just to be sure, but tonight you give it a smile that says, "Thank you, not now." You feel safe here. You drift among familiar stars of memory. There's the green glass lamp from the museum. There's the monastery corridor, still humming with calm. There's the shore that tumbled your worries smooth. They pass like friendly boats at dusk. Each offers a wave. None demands a passenger list. A mainstream fact glides in, quiet and steady. In 1953, researchers Eugene Azarinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman observed rapid eye movement during sleep, a discovery that helped map the landscapes of dreaming. It comforts you that science watches kindly over the dark. That curiosity once sat by a sleeping face and took notes with a pencil. Historians still argue whether dreams primarily consolidate memory, regulate emotion, or do both, while also telling jokes in odd costumes. But you don't have to judge the contest. You're a guest of the night, not a referee. You breathe in and let it go. Imagine a quiet ferry crossing a moonlit harbor. The engine makes a low and friendly purr. The wake spreads in long silver strokes. People lean against rails, collars turned up, eyes soft with relief. No one is late for anything on this boat. Time itself bought a ticket and decided to relax. You feel safe here. The body has already learned how to sink. Now the mind learns how to float, to loosen. Thoughts that used to snag have become round pebbles, too smooth to catch you. You roll them in your palm, then let them slip back into the water. You do not count them. You do not keep them. A playful tidbit arrives, delicate as a paper boat. Some Victorians patented alarm clock beds that tipped sleepers onto the floor at a set time. Effective, perhaps. Charming, not so much. You promise your future self something gentler. Let morning be a harbor, not a catapult. The thought is funny, then it fades like chalk after rain. You breathe in and let it go. The voice lowers its lantern. The path is visible enough. You don't need sharp edges of meaning. This part of the journey is made of tone, breath, a hush that holds. Remember the rabbits swarming Napoleon? You smile again. Even the grand can become small at night. The inverse is also true. Even the small can become grand in kindness. Your pillow is a cathedral. Your blanket is a loyal flag. Your breath is a rife, are with a patient current. You feel safe here. History returns with a ribbon and a wink. In the ancient Greek world, some seekers practiced dream incubation at temples of Asclepius. They washed, they prayed, they slept on stone benches, hoping healing would arrive as a dream. Whether it did or not, they trusted the night to carry messages. You also trust the night, though your message is simpler. Carry me a little farther than a little more. You breathe in and let it go. The sea in your mind grows more audible, as if you've moved closer to the shore without moving at all. Waves gather and loosen, gather and loosen. Each one lifts you a fraction, then sets you down, more softly than before. If an old thought tries a last encore, an email, a name, a plan, you treat it like a guest who has already said goodbye 3 times at the door. You nod, you smile, you close the door gently, and you go to bed. You feel safe here. Another clear and simple fact anchors you without weight. The first mechanical clocks in medieval Europe did not mark minutes. They rang the hours, a broad measure, like church bells across fields. Precision came later. Tonight, you live in the bell's wide circle. Minutes do not visit. Only the hour of rest chimed once and held. Historians still argue whether those early clocks were born in monasteries to structure prayer or in towns to order trade, but either way, the bell knows its job. It calls you to the easiest office, sleep. You breathe in and let it go. Softly, a last inventory unwinds, not of tasks, but of comforts. The fabric near your cheek, the even hush in the room, the reassuring warmth along your spine, the way the mattress rises to meet you without complaint. You picture laying your worries in small clay jars, like scrolls stored for quiet seasons. You label them kindly, later, 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 and stack them where no wind can reach. Remember Alexandria. Remember how the silence of lost shelves felt like velvet. Tonight, nothing is lost. Everything is simply shelved to be chosen by a rested hand tomorrow. Your mind, librarian that it is, nods and turns down the lamp. You feel safe here. A light joke pads across the hall in socks. If an argument shows up in dreamland about whether a shard is a cup or a bowl, you will award it the prestigious title of Container of Not My Problem. The judges applaud quietly. The orchestra plays pillows, curtain. You breathe in and let it go. The last little clench lets go of your jaw. The tongue rests like a small boat on calm water. The eyes float behind their lids, untethered and free to drift. There is a sound like distance becoming kind. You do not chase it. You let it pass through you like a breeze through a summer curtain. You feel safe here. The dream threshold brightens, not with glare, but with the silver of moth wings and the hush of snow falling in a city that has not yet woken. You step through Wetho, but walking. You enter without trying. The world behind you closes like a book with a ribbon inside. You will find the page again. You always do. But now, the new chapter writes itself. The pen is the tide. The ink is your breath. A mainstream anchor hums once more, then bows out. Human beings have mapped constellations for millennia, tying stories to stars so the night would feel like home. Your map tonight has only 2 symbols, a shore, a sea. Both mean rest. Historians still argue whether certain star names came from farms or from myths. But the stars themselves do not mind. They shine either way. You breathe in and let it go. Someone from earlier knocks softly. The lighthouse keeper. He sets down the lens and says, with a smile, that the beam can sweep without him, and your thoughts can sleep without you. He leaves a cup of warm air and closes the door in its own hush. Another small quirk of the world slips in and floats. Lavender bundles tucked into linen drawers, a pract. Ice centuries old in every sort of house. You imagine your pillow lightly scented with fields in bloom. No fanfare, just a plant being kind to a person. You are the person, the plant is generous. Good night, lavender. You feel safe here. Now the voice thins on purpose, the way a tide pulls back to reveal polished stones. It stays near, within reach, but it makes room for the larger silence, the one that connects windows to skies and waves to moonlight. You do not have to follow the words. You can let them pass like distant train lights while you sit in a dark meadow, counting the soft sounds of summer. If counting becomes too crisp, you place the numbers back in their box and close the lid with a smile. You breathe in and let it go. A final callback folds the story in your hands. Remember the crocodile dung sunscreen, the monks on ceramic pillows, the rabbits that humbled a general, the Rosetta key carved into quiet stone. Remember how all of it moved like weather. Acro is the day. Tonight, weather becomes climate. It settles into the long, gentle season of sleep. You feel safe here. In a hush, the scholars blow out their lamps. The archivist's brush lays the dust to rest. The watchman hears the shorebird once more, farther away this time. The ferry completes its crossing. The harbor accepts every returning boat with the same slow embrace. Your breath keeps moving, smaller now, lighter now, pleased with its own soft work. You don't have to help. You only have to allow. You are safe now. You breathe in and let it go. The threshold is behind you. The room is a nest. The sea writes your name into foam and then smooths it into sand. A sleepy smile drifts across your face and lingers, not because you're thinking of anything, but because the absence of thinking feels like a perfectly told joke with no punchline. There is nothing left to solve. There is only the kindness of being carried. You feel safe here. The pacing softens now, like a sail lowering itself at dusk. Sentences lengthen and lean toward silence. Breaths widen, and spaces between them feel like rooms with open windows, curtains moving with a slow tide of night air. You lie very still. The mattress holds your shape as if it were poured just for you. The pillow remembers the tilt of your cheek and offers support so quiet it feels like a promise. The room hums with low kindness, the kind you only hear after the day has finished speaking. If thoughts arrive, they arrive late, hat in hand, and you nod them toward tomorrow's coat rack. They understand. Even ideas know when to sleep. The darkness isn't empty. It is full of gentle things, old boatwood, cool stone, the swayed hush of pages turned by an unseen hand. Your breath is slower now. In, like the tide folding under the moon. Out, like a wave smoothing the shore. The heart follows, pleased to move within this wider quiet. The body is no longer heavy. It is anchored, and the anchor drops into velvet water. No drag, no strain, just a steady line down and a softer rise when morning comes. If a dream wants you, it will find you kindly. It will tap with the knuckle of a feather and offer you small glowing rooms, forests with clear paths, trains that always arrive, doors that open to warm kitchens. You step inside without noise. You sit, not to listen, but to be warmed.